Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of What's on My Desk, and boy do I have a special episode for you today. I'm going to show you these heavy hitters from AP. What do I have? I have the Platinum Offshore Chronograph from Audemars Piguet, and I know I've showed you guys this watch before, but there's a reason why I brought this. Why? Because I am now going to show you its older brother, which is the 25th anniversary Offshore Chronograph in steel, aka the helicopter.
Get to the chopper!
And to top it off, I brought something even more special, the new Concept GMT Chronograph Skeleton. I'm going to kick things off with the Platinum Offshore. And as I said, I've showed you guys this watch before. This watch also comes in rose gold, and there's a slew of variations of this particular model that was made a couple years back. Not going to talk much about this. Beautiful redesign, beautiful semi-skeleton dial, chronograph pushes in ceramic, a deploying buckle, which my business partner has this watch. He actually changed it out to a tank buckle. He deems it more comfortable that way. Manual wind movement as usual. And again, not going to talk much about this. You guys can check previous episodes to talk about this watch. The only reason I brought this is to compare it to the 25th anniversary of the Offshore. And let me put the two side by side before I start talking about the quote-unquote helicopter Offshore. Real quick history lesson, 1993 is when Audemars Piguet took the Royal Oak and made the Royal Oak Offshore. Hence, in 2018, this became the 25th anniversary piece. They made it in stainless steel as well as they made it in the rose gold. Limited edition of 50 pieces. And wow, what a job have they done with this particular watch. So let's take a closer look. Right off the bat, and I'm going to put it against the light, you'll see that this watch is actually a full transparent chronograph. Now, what's so different? At a glance, it's an offshore, but yet it's not an offshore. What did they do here differently?
Same, but different.
First and foremost, new movement. The AP caliber 2947, 353 parts, I believe, 30 joules, 7-day power reserve on this beast. Let me show you the back of this machine. If you look at the back, you can stare at it for hours. It's such a gorgeous machine. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just, there's no words to describe this. Not that the last movement wasn't as impressive. It is indeed just as impressive. I mean, look at that. But with the 2947, they just took this thing to the next level. I mean, there's just no words to describe the beauty of this machine that's inside. And again, I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts. What I do want to get into is the fact of what they've done to redesign this watch. Right off the bat, you'll notice that they sort of did away with the hexagon bezel and screws, it seems like, but no, they really didn't. What they did is they thinned out the bezel. The screws are still there. They're sort of sitting on their own apart from the bezel, and I think it gives an overall striking look. It's a 44 millimeter watch, but this bezel makes it feel like you're wearing a 47 millimeter watch. Look at what they've done with the pushers. The watch is stainless steel. The pushers are titanium and ceramic, along with the ceramic crown. And the guards for the pushers are actually also titanium, not stainless steel, but overall, look at the difference between the pushers. I mean, honestly, this is just out of this world. Whoever, they really took their time to design this, and I think they did a hell of a job in every aspect, including the pushers. Guess what? They finally put it on the tank buckle because I guess they must have heard me, because these deploying buckles are not the most comfortable thing in the world. The dial is basically the base plate of the movement. You got titanium bridges, satin brush edges, and the movement is sort of set up as if it's like suspended from the bezel. If you notice, if you look at the watch, it looks like the movement is sort of like suspended from the bezel. At least that's the look that you get because of this quote-unquote helicopter look, if you ask me. Tourbillon at 9 o'clock, 30-minute countdown at 3 o'clock. And the finishes on the watch are to match, obviously. Again, nothing new here. We all know how well Audemars finishes their watches. And again, overall, an exquisite looking watch. I actually prefer the stainless steel version over the rose gold version, which I showed you earlier, because it's extremely light for a humongous watch. This is an extremely light watch, partially because most of it is pretty much skeletonized. It seems like the entire thing is, again, suspended. Now, one of the things that people have asked me to do on these episodes is actually to throw the watch on my wrist to see what it looks like on my wrist. However, I do have a smaller than usual wrist. I don't have an average size wrist, but nevertheless, you kind of will get an idea of what it looks like. And here's the watch on the wrist. Extremely comfortable to wear, again, for a huge size. definitely a conversation starter. Super uber rare, again, limited edition. Handsome point, the retail price on this watch on stainless steel, I think, is 285 Swiss francs, so I don't know what that is, roughly in dollars today. What does it trade for? It trades over $300,000. It demands a premium, and it's going to continue demanding a premium because, again, impossible to find. For those that have it, for those that bought it, I highly doubt they will ever sell it because, again, this watch is so gorgeous. I don't see anybody putting this watch in their collection and then later trading out of it. And I don't foresee AP making a more impressive offshore tourbillon. I'm sure they will, but for now, to me, this is probably the most impressive offshore tourbillon that's out there. And speaking of amazing, I'll save the best for last, and that's the Concept GMT tourbillon open work chronograph self-winding. And don't take the word self-winding lightly because this is the first concept that AP made that winds itself and in a grand way at that, and I'll show you in a second. I told you guys before, probably my favorite watch from AP is the original Alacrite Concept, and I've mentioned that watch many times over. And boy, talking about evolution, how far the Concept has come. Look at this watch. This is the most stunning concept made by AP ever, as far as I'm concerned. I do believe it beats the Alacrite Concept. It's probably my absolute new favorite. If I had to choose today between the Alacrite Concept, the original one, and this one, this would be the watch I would go with. What's the big deal about self-winding? Well, again, as I said, it's the first self-winding Concept GMT. And how does it do it? Well, let's shake the watch. You see where the rotor is? It's in the front. Hopefully that does it for you. You guys can see that. Because if you look at the back of the watch right off the bat, you're saying, wait a minute, how is this an automatic movement? I don't see a rotor, I don't see anything. Well, the rotor, again, is in the front. So as I shake this watch, you can see it turn. Completely skeletonized timepiece. Look at that. You can see literally entirely through the watch. Design-wise, same exact Concept case, nothing has changed, and I applaud AP for that, keeping with the same exact case, because unmistakably this is the case that tells you, hey, this is an AP Concept. Ceramic buttons, ceramic crown, titanium brushed finish. This is reminiscent of the original Alacrite Concept. This part of the watch is brushed titanium, the bezel is polished, and the side of the bezel is highly polished. Red rubber strap, and you can put this on blue and white or black if you choose to. I think by bringing this piece out and utilizing the red strap, it gives you an exclamation point on the boldness of this watch. What's there to be said about the Concept APs outside of the fact that, again, this happens to be my favorite AP line in the offshore lineup. Again, they've come a long way since 1993, and they keep pushing the boundaries further and further when it comes to these high-end pieces. Again, not going to get into the nuts and bolts of this particular watch. I never do this. You guys can easily read that on their website and the various numerous blogs that are out there. I'm simply going to show you the watch, and I'm going to try to do my best to sort of zoom in onto this movement to show you off just how beautifully designed this movement truly is. Let's talk about the different concepts out there. You had the Alacrite Concept, and they came out with numerous other versions of the concept. They did it in a black ceramic, they did it in titanium, they did a white one, they did a white and rose gold one, they did a full rose gold one. So many concepts out there, and honestly, by far, this guy is the one that beats them all as far as I'm concerned. The very first Alacrite Concept is probably going to be down the line the most collectible watch, but I can't see this guy being too far behind it. They're not making very many of these. Again, this is a limited production. It's got very limited availability. Price upon request, as per our website, the retail on this watch is roughly around 385,000 Swiss francs. This watch today is trading at a small discount because, again, the highly priced nature of the watch. I've said this before, if the watch retails high, you will get some sort of a discount, but not much. Today, you'd be hard-pressed to pick this watch up for more than 10 to 15%. So in conclusion, what I believe I have showed you today is a couple of new icons. The quote-unquote helicopter offshore, as we call it in the industry, as well as the new skeleton GMT Concept chronograph automatic movement. Boy, that's a mouthful. Now comes a big question. If I had to choose one, which one would I go with? And that to me is a very difficult question because I know you guys are going to ask. So I'm really having a hard time choosing between the two. I love the Alacrite Concept. I like the concept line from Audemars Piguet. Again, the Alacrite Concept to me is probably the most iconic high-end, or I should say highly complicated timepiece from Audemars Piguet. I'm gonna go with the concept. Then I'm gonna go with the concept again, due to the fact that I'm biased by the Alacrite Concept 1. And this is such a close second. I absolutely love with this watch. I would hate to choose one or the other, but at the end of the day, my heart is still with the Concept line. And oddly enough, these watches are too big for my wrist. I'm always having a hard time wearing Concept because I have such a small wrist. Case in point, I'll show you this watch on the wrist and you guys get an idea. In fact, maybe do both side by side. This is what the Alacrite Concept looks like on my wrist. It's obviously too big, but I don't give a shit because you know what? That never has stopped me before. I've worn 48mm watches and even 50mm watches, but it is indeed, seems like it's too big for my wrist. The other one's probably a better fit. Let me put the two side by side and voila, there you have it. Again, it doesn't seem like it's a big difference, but it's the lugs, it's the case extension, the sort of the lugs of the Concept that make the watch bigger on the wrist. And last but not least, speaking of iconic design and speaking of icons, what's on my wrist? You guys heard me mention and answer your questions before. I'm wearing the watch that started it all, and that is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 5402 AC. I have the 8 serial and I have the lowest number known to be out there and available. It's number 200 something from 1972. This is the guy that started it all. Genta designed this in 1972. This watch is from 1972. The way you can tell it's the earlier one, it's the A, it's an A series if you look in the back of the watch, and B, the AP logo is at 6 o'clock. The later B, C's, and so on, they moved the logo up to 12 o'clock. My favorite vintage timepiece that I own, this is the guy that started everything that you see here. If it wasn't for this, there would be none of this. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got any questions, as usual, comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're already not subscribed, and I'll see you guys next week for more watch reviews and other videos.